Who's your commander?
Good luck.
Equip.
Move to combat.
Resolves.
Now, before you attack
Does
me,
anyone have an answer?
well played.
Good game.
Hello everyone, DJ here, and welcome to the Jumbo Commander YouTube channel. Has Wizards of the Coast fixed mono white with these amazing inclusions from Ikoria and C20? No, white still has a long ways to go, but they've done such a good job. Let's take a look at these 5 key white cards from the newest sets and find out how they can fit into your commander decks. So white has some glaring shortcomings when it comes to the commander format. It is very poor at card draw and ramp, and those two things are pretty important for winning games of commander. I'd say the biggest strength that white has is its removal, and no one's arguing with that, and actually we don't see a lot of new white removal out of these two sets. Another strength I believe white has is in its creature base. It has some pretty powerful and disruptive creatures. Unfortunately, creatures are very susceptible to just incidental death in our format. They're just going to be board wiped out of the way so easily, and so ways to protect your creatures in mono white is an advantage that we're looking for. Flawless maneuver. 2 and a white for an instant. If you control a commander, you may cast the spell without paying its mana cost. Your creatures gain indestructible until end of turn. This is board wipe protection. This is so good. This is not a unique card by any means. We have lots of cards that grant your creatures indestructible, and they've proven worthwhile. The thing that's magical about this card is that it can be cast for free. This gives you so much tempo advantage. How many times do you have a deck that revolves around your commander and you're just like, if I play it and tap out, I'm never going to be able to protect it. It's just going to die and I'm going to be 2 turns away from playing it again. Well, now you have a card that solves all of those problems. Get that protection you need, protect your commander, and do it for free. Oh, so good. Let's compare this to super expensive cards like Teferi's Protection. So expensive, but so worth it because it protects your whole board. Teferi's Protection is not getting replaced by this card though. Teferi's Protection protects you from literally everything. Cyclonic Rift, and unfortunately, your creatures can still be rifted back to your hand if they're indestructible. I do like to compare it to many of the other indestructible spells. My favorite is Unbreakable Formation. Grant things indestructible, and then if you use it on your turn, it becomes this sort of permanent anthem, this really good way to push damage through. I've got to say, I'm more inclined to play Flawless Maneuver than many of these other indestructible spells. And that's because it gives me a huge advantage, not just the first time I play my commander and I'm holding up the spell, but every other turn when I can tap out for a creature and add to the board and know that I have some level of protection. So we've established that white oftentimes needs a level of protection. I mean, they commit so much to the board with their creatures, we want to find a good way to make sure that they're safe. Luminous broodmoth. 2 white for a 3/4 insect with flying, and whenever a creature you control without flying dies, return it to the battlefield under its owner's control with a flying counter on it. This card is spectacular, and the Godzilla version is insane too. I like to compare it to cards like Selfless Spirit. It is on the battlefield and suddenly your opponents know, oh great, I gotta get through that other creature before I can actually answer this player's board. Blah. Or even a card like Cauldron of Souls, where you can have that board wipe protection. Although Cauldron of Souls gives everything -1/-1 counters, but Broodmoth gives them flying? Like they come back better? Oh my gosh, this is the first time that I wish Selfless Spirit did not have flying. Do you know how great that would be? So great. It's also really nice whenever we have a combo enabler in mono white. People are experimenting with Luminous Broodmoth because it brings creatures back. And it'll keep bringing creatures back, especially if we can prevent that flying counter from being put on creatures that were sacrificed. Cards like Solemnity right now are spiking because they'll prevent that counter from going on, so we can sacrifice the same ground creature over and over and over again and have Luminous Broodmoth bring it back. Next up, we have a hate bear that guarantees your friends will hate you. It's Drannith Magistrate. Drannith Magistrate is 1 and a white for a 1/3 human wizard, and your opponents can't cast spells from anywhere other than their hands. Yes, that means that they can't cast spells from their command zone. A 2-drop that shuts down your opponent's commanders. This is going to be so irritating for your opponents. Not to mention the people that want to cast cards out of their graveyard or, cast things from exile if they're doing weird stuff like that. Man, this shuts down so much. And I love that the hate bears are finally getting a place in Commander. Don't get me wrong, we've got a lot of really strong hate bears for our format, but I think some of White's best ones really shine when it comes to 60 card formats like Thalia and Sanctum Prelate. Both of these punish decks that have lower curves, and in Commander a lot of times we can just absorb an extra mana. Yeah, it's annoying, but we'll get there. And Sanctum Prelate doesn't quite know what mana cost to shut down. But Magistrate, man, just automatically going after your opponent's commanders. Your opponents want to play their commanders. Oh, I love this as a new hate bear. It's definitely going in some decks. Next, we have Ramp in mono white. What? No, it's not just easy ramp. You got to jump through quite a few hoops to get ramp, but it is definitely ramp in our format. Let's talk about Cartographer's Hawk. Cartographer's Hawk is 1 and a white for a 2/1 creature bird with flying. When Cartographer's Hawk deals combat damage to a player who controls more lands than you, return it to its owner's hand. If you do, you may search your library for a plains card, put it on the battlefield tapped, then shuffle your library. So Cartographer's Hawk is 2 mana ramp. Technically. I mean, Farseek and Nature's Lore and Rampant Growth, those are some of the best ramp spells in our format because they put a land on the battlefield and they do it for 2 mana. Cartographer's Hawk has some definite downsides and some definite hoops you have to jump through. For example, all those great green ramp spells that I mentioned ramp you ahead of your opponents, giving you the mana advantage, whereas Cartographer's Hawk can only catch you up again. I actually kind of like that though. It feels like it matches White, that we don't ramp ahead of other people, but we are very fair and organized, and we want to make sure that we're at least as far along as you are. So that kind of makes sense. There's definitely a hoop of having to connect with this Hawk, but you do get it back again. So you can reuse this over and over and over again. So one thing this has me thinking is how much I love Sword of the Animist. I mean, come on. I don't even have to connect with it. I just have to attack, and then I get the land on the battlefield. Don't have to re-equip it or recast it or anything. Yes, Sword, yes. It also has me thinking how much I really like all the good ramp that we do have in White. Cartographer's Hawk could be fitting into your commander decks. It's certainly a bomb in my God Eternal Oketra deck because I want to recast tiny creatures over and over again to make more 4/4 black zombies. So I'm super excited about this card, but it could equally find its way into Timna the Weaver deck or a lot of Boros decks that want to be attacking. Any of the Skies decks that we have, because it's definitely a cool flying bird. Bird tribal. Get in there. Okay, so Cartographer's Hawk is going to find its home in a lot of different decks. Anything that really wants you leveraging creatures and finds itself behind on mana a lot. The last card I want to talk about today is Verge Rangers. 2 and a white for a 3/3 human scout with first strike, and you can look at the top card of your library anytime, whenever you want. You're going to unmorph that creature. I'm going to look at the top card of my library. As long as an opponent controls more lands than you, you may play land cards from the top of your library. What? Okay, this is card advantage. This is just like card draw, and it's on a pretty good body. Sometimes people get a little bit confused when you're playing lands off the top of your library. It's not ramp, but it definitely is card draw. This is a direct comparison to Courser of Kruphix, an amazing card, a staple in many, many green decks. And this is just as good. Okay. I love that you can look at the top of your library, but your opponents can't. I also like that white can sort of start manipulating the top of their library and get some advantage that way. Play some silly fetch lands like Fabled Passage to be able to shuffle the top away so that you have a little bit more control over what you're drawing. All right, let's be real with each other. White has had a problem in our format. It's been pretty weak. And are 5 cards gonna save the color? No. But we can see what Wizards is doing. They have listened to us, they've seen the concerns, and these are awesome cards. I'm so excited to slot literally every card here into my God Eternal Ketcher deck. Where are you gonna put these new mono white cards? Tell me in the comments down below. I want to thank you for watching this video, but I also want to thank Cool Stuff Inc. because they sponsor the Jumbo Commander YouTube channel. And if you use the coupon code JUMBO5, you can get 5% off your order. Go get some of these amazing Ikoria cards because they are crazy good for Commander. I also want to thank my patrons. They support me every single day. Thank you, patrons. If it wasn't for you, there would be no channel. Thank you. And thank you for watching this video. I am so excited to bring to you more Ikoria and C20 content. There's so much good stuff. It's a little bit of overload going on. All right, everyone. See you really soon. Bye-bye.